Welcome to Down the Right Field Line with Marlins Nation. The Marlins try to wrap up the 2012 season on a high note. They face division rivals Mets, Phillies, Braves. See how the Marlins perform. And is Ozzie Guillen going to be managing in 2013 with the Marlins or elsewhere? All that and more coming up next. Welcome to Down the Right Field Line with Marlins Nation. You know, when we left you last, the Marlins had just finished a 3-3 homestand, and we're going out on the road to face the Mets and the Braves. You know, when you're facing division rivals, it doesn't matter where you are in the division race, you want to beat these division rivals. And going in to face the Mets, you're always thinking, hey, if we could at least get out of last place, at least this season won't look as bad as it has. But the Mets just overmatched us. They outscored us 8-14, which might not look like a big difference, but on the field, it did look at it like a big difference. The pitching, you know, obviously the Mets have been really good with R.A. Dickey. He got his 18th win in this series. And, you know, the Marlins offense, just like all season, it just hasn't been there. And that showed in that series. And then going into the Braves series, again, overmatched. Now, the Braves, very different ball club than the Mets. They have a lot more offense, and they have a lot more pitching. And in this series, you know, Medlin comes out, you know, ridiculous stuff. And, you know, he performed well, and the Marlins lost all 3 games to them. So the whole road trip, 0-6 road trip, the Braves actually clinched their playoff berth, which eventually was just a wild card berth because the Washington Nationals were able to clinch the division. Lack of effort on this road trip. The Marlins were in some games but weren't able to pull through. And that's kind of like that's like the whole season right there. Marlins score runs early on, can't pull off a late inning run for anything, and the Marlins get swept for the road trip. Just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You know, going down the stretch, you're hoping to have a little bit of life. You know, the Orioles of last year, they ended the season with a little bit of life. And look, you know, the Marlins, no life, none to be seen. So you just start looking for other things to kind of bring people's mood up. And we'll touch upon some of these other things in a little bit. When you think about the season and you think about failure in the season, you always go to one guy. You can go to the owner and say, oh, the owner didn't do the right things, that's why they don't have a winning ball club. The owner did do the right things. He put in a lot of money and put in a lot of talent on this team. Got a brand new ballpark ready to go. But then where do you go from there? You need a manager that can lead you. And early on, we thought that was Ozzie Guillen. I personally think he's done a fairly decent job with the talent he was given. Now, remember, he doesn't play the game. He's not out there at shortstop like he used to be. He's just there, back there, and he's managing. And he's been a lot calmer Ozzie, which I like. You know, we don't want the Chicago White Sox Ozzie. He was too crazy. A lot, you know, different. And I think he's done a fairly decent job. Now that the season's over, a lot of rumors have come out saying that the Marlins are already looking for replacements and all this stuff. I think the Marlins are doing that to cover their butt. Say, okay, well, let's analyze this. What do we have out there that might be able to replace this guy? Remember, he signed 3 more years, $10 million. The Marlins aren't a team that likes to swallow money. 3 years, you know, they're going to try and see if there's something better out there, but I think at the end of the day, they're going to go with Ozzie. So Rafi, with all these rumors swirling all over the place, just like the offseason, I mean, that's typical offseason stuff, even though there's still playoffs going on. What do you think will come out of the whole Ozzie situation?
I don't know. It's been exciting this year. Sarcastically and maybe not sarcastically, I guess. Again, we start off in the beginning with the comments and not being there for 5 game suspension. I think might have made a difference. So he's not there for those games, and then just things fall apart. Injuries happen, and like you said, Rob, he's not playing out there on the field. And then after a while, there's only so much that you can do, and as the season went on, his personality just I didn't see him alive in the dugout, and what can you do? I don't blame him at all. If I was the manager of the Marlins and my team was sucking wind, I wouldn't be hopping up and down or anything, So there's not much I can do about it. And as far as rumors swirling around, again, what is Ozzy going to do? What is he going to say? I want to stay here, get me out of here? No, I mean, he's saying the right things as far as what he can do. He's being honest as well, which I appreciate. And so moving forward, I just hope they make the right decision. And if it were up to me and it was my decision, I'd keep him on for next year. But it's not my decision. As long as you don't get Bobby Valentine, we're all good. I would agree. Don't you think?
Yeah, to kind of bounce off your point right there, Bobby Valentine, the day after the season ended, was fired by the Red Sox. You saw that coming. I mean, that was one of those things that, with how the Red Sox performed, how he was being ridiculous on the radio, telling people he's going to go punch him in the face, getting pretty much his players pretty much got traded because of him. So I definitely saw that coming, but you make a very valid point, Rafi. As long as we don't go after that guy, I mean, that guy would be detrimental for this team, especially Miami. And, I think Ozzie Guillen, second year, it's going to be a lot less pressure on him. Hopefully we make a lot of splashes in the offseason, but the key thing is that him feeling comfortable in his role and then, taking this team to the next level whenever we start getting the right pieces. So then coming back home after an 0-6 road trip, you had the 3-3 homestand, 0-6 road trip, now back home. They face the Phillies and the Mets. Again, important series just because you want to end the season on a high note. They go in Friday night, Burley's pitching. He's trying to get to that 200-inning plateau, which is super important, not only to him, but to Ozzie, to the franchise as a whole. No, there aren't that many pitchers out there that have been able to do this. Season after season, being able to go 200 innings. And that's what we signed him for. That's why we paid him the big bucks. In that Friday night game, he went 8 innings, going over the 200-inning mark, putting him second to only Greg Maddux, who had 14 consecutive seasons of 200 innings. Burley, 12 consecutive seasons of 200 innings, which is a really prestigious mark. I think, you can have your Cy Young and all these other stuff, but when you show consistency, that every year you go out there and you put up 200 innings, that is so important as a manager to know, hey, this guy's going to go deep into games. He's going to give us a chance to win. And in this ball game, he gave us that chance to win, and we did win that ball game, starting out the series with a win, dropping the series 1-2, obviously, and whatever momentum you gained, you lost right away. Stanton comes back from his injury and gets in the game and hits a home run. That's when Stanton's doing good, we're doing good. You want to at least end the season with that. And so Burley ending up on a high note, Stanton ending up on a high note. All things are good except we lose the series to the Phillies. So like I mentioned, Raph, Burley finished the season at 200 innings. Now it's the 13-13 with a 3.74 ERA. Not the type of prediction we gave at the beginning of the season, but what were your thoughts on his performance during the season, and what is going to be his role next year?
Well, I thought that we got what we paid for, right? I mean, with the exception of the record, and again, that's on no reflection of the pitcher, in my opinion. That's you're relying on your offense heavily on that one. But as far as the innings pitched, the ERA kind of hovered around there. But consistency is what we signed, and consistency is what we got. In that particular start, the Marlins had the lead. Burley had a 1-0 lead, and man, he almost had it. 1 out to go. Ozzie came out, kind of talked to him a little bit, and kept him in there for what would have been the last out of the inning, and the Phillies tied it on the next pitch. But that's what it is. I mean, Burley's a gamer. Burley's going to be out there, and I admire that. And it was a great pickup. And as far as next year's concerned, we don't know. He could be the number 2 guy behind JJ, or he could end up being the staff ace if the Marlins decide to go elsewhere in terms of pitching. Or he could even be 3rd. Who knows? That may make a splash signing like a Zach Greinke or something. But, different options as far as Burley's roles are concerned. But I think the pitcher himself, Burley, will stay the same. I don't think his numbers will fluctuate that much. And I think we struck gold, in my opinion, as far as that pickup.
I completely agree with you, Raf, and it's a guy that you want to have. You know, kind of like a Levan Hernandez. You know, when you put him out there, he's going to go 6 to 8 innings every single time. And that's what you want. Especially nowadays, the pitchers can't even go 6 innings. After 5 innings, they're done. So it's good to have this guy, and I think it's going to be very instrumental, because now going into this offseason, with even JJ's out, you don't really know if the Marlins are going to keep him. JJ ended up doing all his starts except his last, and that was huge, because now you have another guy there that, at least he had a complete season. He wasn't amazing. He wasn't the Josh Johnson, the JJ of old, but he did improve a lot, and that proves a lot to the organization. And hopefully that means that we can at least let him play out his contract, if not give him at least a 2-year extension or something like that. This offseason, we're going to continue talking about the Marlins rotation and how it might look as things start adjusting. As JJ, Burley, all these acquisitions we made this year with Turner. We'll see how that rotation shapes up, but that's something to look forward to that we're going to continue talking about as the offseason continues. So Marlins wrap up the season against the Mets at home. Perfect way to end the season, I think, against a division rival and at home. And there was a lot of storylines in this series. The Marlins were hoping to at least get to the 70 win mark, which would be pretty important to at least get to 70 wins. And the other storyline was Adam Greenberg. You're like, what's going on? If you don't know who Adam Greenberg is, you haven't been following baseball. Adam Greenberg is a guy who got injured several years back by a Marlins pitcher. Valerio de los Santos hit him in the head on the first pitch of his major league career. Never got a chance to come back because he had a lot of issues with vertigo and all these things that it really messed him up, being hit in the head. And now the Marlins, true class act, signed him on a 1-day contract, telling him, we're going to give you 1 at-bat. He pinch hit and started off the inning, and the whole crowd was cheering. It was a great thing to watch. All of baseball fans all over the place were watching this guy. They wanted him to get a hit. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. He struck out on 3 pitches, but you can see just a smile on his face, just a relief. Being able to say he has a .000 batting average, which might not seem like anything to anybody, but that's pretty important to him, because it shows that he played in the major leagues for at least 1 at-bat. And anybody who's ever watched Field of Dreams, you know how important that is. That whole storyline kind of developed. The Marlins were able to take 2 out of 3 from the Mets. We did not get to the 70 win mark, but we were at 69 and 93 to end the season. Not what we had predicted. Next week we'll go over the differences as far as the amount of wins we predicted and how much we ended up at. So Rafi, like I said, the main topic of this series was Adam Greenberg. And Rafi, what did you think of the whole story? I mean, this guy's story can inspire anybody.
I mean, this is amazing, and by the way, this isn't a publicity stunt or anything, This was the Marlins organization giving a guy a chance to get that at-bat that he solely deserved. He worked hard his way up there when he was with the Cubs organization to get up to the bigs. Finally got his opportunity, And it's actually a direct quote from him on one of the shows on MLB Network. He pretty much said, in life throws you curveballs. In my situation, life threw me a fastball, and I bounced back, and I'm here now, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. I mean, this guy is, I don't even know him, and I've only seen his interviews and whatnot. He is the most down-to-earth, just thankful person. I mean, who better to have that situation than him? I mean, this guy, again, I don't know him from Adam or anything, but I like him. And unfortunately, he struck out on 3 pitches. By the way, it was against R.A. Dickey. I mean, it's not like, some regular Joe Schmo out there. This guy is a knuckleball pitcher. And on top of that, you got your emotions flowing, you got the adrenaline flowing, and you're facing a knuckleball pitcher. And R.A. Dickey, another class act guy, his goal on the mound was to treat him like any other player and give him a major league at bat. And I commend him for that as well. And it was just a great moment, not only in Marlin history, but for Adam Greenberg's life. And that's something that he will treasure. That's something his family will treasure. And that's something very special in Marlins lore.
So after taking 2 of 3 from the Mets, the Marlins season is done. 69-93 is our final record. Last place National League East. The playoffs are starting. Check our Facebook and our Twitter for our predictions for the playoffs. And next week we'll go over the entire season and kind of wrap everything up as far as individual statistics, our predictions from the preseason, and kind of show you, where we went and how the season unfolded. Stay tuned with us all off season long for all the latest updates, especially now during the playoffs as everything wraps up, and then we crowned a new World Series champion. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and our email if you want as well. From all of us here at Down the Right Field Line, we will see you next week. And here is our random video of the week, which we like to call the Major Freakout.
Later.